understood, move differently. They begin not by pleasing the world, but by listening to the haunting music of their inner voice. And these are the highly intelligent women. Not just in intellect, but in emotional depth, psychic power, and soul-wrought clarity. Theirs is not the intelligence of memorized facts and fast words. It is the kind that burns through illusion, that sees shadow in light and light in shadow, the kind that does not flinch from the abyss. Habit number 1. She befriends solitude as if it were a sacred lover. She is not running from silence, because she knows what the silence holds. It is there, in the quiet hours when no one is watching, that she confronts herself without masks, without makeup, without performance. In a world addicted to noise, she does not fear being alone, she fears being false. While others chase validation like moths to flame, she retreats to the sanctuary of stillness. It is there that she digests her emotions, confronts her projections, and makes offerings to her shadow. You may have called her aloof, cold, intimidating, but what you're really seeing is a woman who no longer abandons herself for the comfort of others. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But to do so, a woman must first lose who she was told to be." The highly intelligent woman has tasted the bitter truth of this. She knows that the girl who once needed to be liked had to die so that the woman who demands to be respected could be born. Solitude is not her prison. It is her forge. There, in the alchemy of aloneness, she transfigures pain into wisdom, heartbreak into clarity, rejection into redirection. She doesn't text first, not because she plays games, but because she knows her energy is a currency, and not everyone deserves a share. She will wait, days, weeks, years, not out of pride, but out of precision. She has unlearned the panic that once came with space. She no longer fills the void to avoid the ache. She lets it echo until the truth answers back. And you, yes you, how often do you choose silence over soothing? How often do you sit with your unmet needs and ask them why they hurt? Have you mistaken loneliness for lack, when it's really the birthplace of power? The highly intelligent woman knows a full room means nothing if she's empty inside. Habit number 2. She interrogates her own narrative. She is not seduced by her ego's stories. She knows that every belief is a mirror, and some mirrors distort. While others defend their patterns, she dissects them. Every failed relationship, every betrayal, every ache of abandonment, she does not wallow. She watches. She traces the outline of the wound and asks, "Who wrote this script?" I keep repeating, the intelligent woman understands trauma not as a badge of honor, but as a blueprint of unconscious design. She studies it, honors it, and then dares to rewrite it. She sees the inner child curled in fear, and she does not scold her, she holds her, but she also does not let her drive. She knows how easy it is to confuse self-sabotage for fate, to call a pattern my type when it's really an unhealed attachment. She has stopped romanticizing chaos. It doesn't excite her anymore. It exhausts her. And she's done being tired. To live consciously is her rebellion. It is a radical act of self-responsibility in a world that teaches women to be victims of their circumstances or saviors of broken men. She is neither. She is the author of her own myth, the sculptor of her psyche. When a man leaves, she does not collapse. She consults the wound. She asks, "Why did I call this in?" And more importantly, why did I stay? Because she knows. Deep down, heartbreak isn't about him. It's about the version of herself she keeps betraying just to feel loved. And you, what stories do you still carry that no longer serve you? What pain have you turned into identity? Simply because it's familiar. The intelligent woman lets herself grieve, but she does not let herself repeat. She knows the cost of unconscious living is too high. She would rather bleed in truth than smile in illusion. Because healing, to her, is not a destination. It is a devotion. A daily act of courage. A choice to rise when staying broken would be easier. This woman, you may never fully understand her, but you will feel her. Even in silence, she speaks volumes. Even in absence, she leaves echoes. She is a force not because she fights, but because she sees. Habit number 3. She does not fear the shadow. She drinks from it. Where others flinch at the darkness within, she goes deeper. She does not wear light like a crown, without first kneeling before the parts of her that once terrified her. The rage, the jealousy, the desire to control, the need to be chosen, the ache to be wanted by the one who never truly saw her. She has met these parts, not with shame, but with reverence, because the highly intelligent woman knows that what we repress, we become controlled by. Her strength does not come from perfection. It comes from integration. She understands that being nice is often a trauma response. That politeness can be a disguise for fear. She remembers the years she swallowed her voice, contorted her truth, and bled for acceptance. But she has since buried that version of herself. At her funeral, only the facade wept. Her soul was reborn. The woman who knows her shadow is dangerous, but not in the way the world thinks. She is dangerous because she cannot be manipulated. She no longer needs others to validate the parts of her that were once exiled. She has reclaimed them herself. And when you've done your shadow work, the world loses its power to shame you. She knows now. The parts of her she tried to exile were never unworthy. They were simply unparented. The girl who became the caretaker, the appeaser, the emotional sponge for everyone else's wounds. She has finally been seen. Not by a man, not by a therapist, but by the woman she grew into. And that reunion, that is what makes her whole. It is why she no longer chases apologies. She does not explain herself to those who never intended to understand. She's not cruel, she's clean. She speaks with clarity, not resentment. But beneath her softness, there is a steel edge of discernment sharpened by every betrayal she survived. And perhaps you've met her, or perhaps you are her. She's the woman who doesn't flinch when called too much. She knows too much is what they call a woman who refuses to shrink. She no longer trades authenticity for belonging. She no longer calls herself broken because others lack the depth to hold her complexity. This woman does not only walk through her pain, she learns from it. She journals it, dreams it, dances it out of her body until it no longer holds her hostage. She knows trauma lives in the nervous system, not just in memory. So she breathes. She grounds. She walks barefoot on the earth until her soul remembers she belongs. When she loves with eyes wide open. Not blindly, not desperately. She no longer confuses potential with presence. If a man shows her his wounds and refuses to heal them, she does not turn into his nurse. She turns away. 'Cause she has wounds too. And she's busy healing them into wisdom, not bleeding them into others. You can't seduce her with surface anymore. Her mind has become a fortress, her body a temple, her soul a sacred fire. She has boundaries now, not walls. And there's a difference. Walls keep everyone out. Boundaries let the right ones in, and keep the wrong ones from taking pieces of her she can no longer afford to lose. So ask yourself, what parts of you have you abandoned just to be loved? What truths have you silenced in order to feel safe? The highly intelligent woman does not fear these questions. She chases them, because every time she answers one, she steps closer to her authentic self. And authenticity, that's her compass now. Not popularity, not perfection, not performance. She does not need to post her worth online. She does not need to announce her glow-up. Her evolution is quiet, sacred, often unseen, because the most powerful transformations are not aesthetic. They are existential. They happen in the marrow. They happen in the moments she says no with a calm heart. When she walks away not in anger, but in sovereignty. This woman is not just intelligent. She is dangerous to systems built on compliance. She does not aim to be palatable. She aims to be whole. Habit number 4. She lives in alignment, not approval. The highly intelligent woman has abandoned the soul-starving pursuit of being liked. She no longer contorts herself to fit into rooms she has outgrown. She does not chase love that requires performance, nor does she wear masks to be digestible. Her yes is true. Her no is holy. In her world, alignment is the altar, and she does not kneel before anything that asks her to betray herself. She is not rebellious for attention. She is rebellious for truth. And truth for her is not negotiable. It is a frequency she holds in her bones. It's why she walks away so quietly from friendships that gossip, from lovers who withhold, from opportunities that ask her to dilute her essence. You may wonder why she disappears so suddenly. You may even call her difficult. But make no mistake, she does not disappear without reason. She disappears when her soul isn't safe. This is not arrogance. This is wisdom born from pain. She has lived the consequences of betraying her own voice. She has sacrificed too much on the altar of people-pleasing to ever go back. So now she listens for resonance. She trusts her body's cues. If her stomach knots, if her breath shortens, if her spirit shrinks, she knows. That's not her intuition being dramatic. That's her evolution speaking. Once, she would override that voice. She would make excuses for red flags, rationalize disrespect, smile through discomfort just to maintain harmony. But that was the old her, the one who hadn't yet learned that peace built on self-abandonment is not peace at all. It's slow spiritual suicide. Now she seeks alignment over ease, integrity over comfort, depth over distraction. She doesn't fear being misunderstood anymore. She's made peace with the fact that not everyone will see her clearly. That's not her burden to carry. She speaks her truth, and lets the world interpret it however it must. She's not here to manage perception. She's here to embody purpose. And you, what have you tolerated just to keep the peace? What values have you silenced just to be included? The highly intelligent woman has burned her need for approval in the sacred fire of individuation. She knows that the world will try to shape her into a consumable version of herself. It will try to convince her that her softness must be earned, and her strength must be hidden. But she will not fold. Her path is not linear. It is cyclical, lunar, spiral-born. She knows that progress is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like stillness, like disappearing to remember who she is, like resting instead of proving, like feeling deeply rather than numbing. While the world screams hustle, she chooses presence. She lives by an inner code now, one that cannot be bought, bargained with, or broken. And when she does speak, it is not to fill silence, it is to transmit clarity. Her words don't just inform, they cut, because they come from a place the world has tried to silence in women for centuries, embodied knowing. This is why people both admire and fear her. She holds a mirror, not the kind that flatters, but the kind that reveals. And most are not ready to see themselves. She doesn't weaponize her wisdom, but she doesn't water it down either. If you step to her with projection, she will reflect it. If you come with truth, she will hold you. But don't confuse her compassion for compliance. Her boundaries are not conditions, they are consequences. She knows that loving others is not enough if it costs her the love she owes herself. She has made sacrifices to get here. Nights filled with silent tears. Friendships that decayed when she stopped performing. Lovers who left when she refused to chase. But through it all, she has learned the sacred difference between being abandoned and choosing herself. And now she is unstoppable, not because she controls everything, but because she is no longer controlled by anything. She has unhooked her worth from external outcomes. She has freed herself from the tyranny of needing to be understood. Her alignment is her sanctuary. She doesn't walk on eggshells anymore. She walks on fire and leaves ash where she used to shrink. Habit number 5. She embraces emotional alchemy as her way of being. The highly intelligent woman is not afraid to feel. She is devoted to it. Emotion is not her enemy. It is her compass. She does not suppress. She transmutes. While others flee from their grief, repress their anger, or plaster over their longing with distraction, she leans in. She knows that buried emotion becomes poison, but expressed emotion becomes gold. Emotional alchemy, this is her magic. She understands what Jung called the feeling function, the sacred intelligence that guides the psyche toward wholeness. It is not weakness to weep. It is wisdom. For the woman who is truly awake does not confuse numbness with strength. She does not pride herself on how much she can tolerate. She measures her growth not by how stoic she appears, but by how deeply she can feel without being undone. She cries, yes, but not because she is fragile, because she is clearing. Every tear a baptism, every breath a reclamation. She turns sadness into insight, rage into boundary, desire into creation. Her emotions do not define her, but they inform her. She is fluent in their language. It is this fluency that makes her emotionally sovereign. When triggered, she doesn't lash out blindly. She sits with it, asks, "Whose voice is this? Is it mine? Or the echo of an old wound, an old parent, an old heartbreak?" She doesn't project. She reflects. And this is what makes her dangerous in the best way. She is not reactive. She is responsive. She has cultivated the sacred pause. That breath between impulse and action, where wisdom has a chance to rise. She no longer gets intoxicated by chaos. The emotional roller coasters that once thrilled her, that once made her feel alive, now bore her. She knows the difference now between chemistry and compatibility, between passion and trauma reenactment, between presence and performance. She does not seek to be rescued. She rescues herself again and again by choosing not to abandon her center when the world spins. Her nervous system is her compass. She has studied its rhythms. She knows when she's dysregulated. She knows when she's not safe. And instead of numbing, she nurtures. You may see her breathing deeply during a tense conversation. You may watch her close her eyes for a moment before answering. That's not weakness. That's regulation. That's mastery. That's a woman who has stopped living in reaction to the world and started living in communion with herself. But this alchemy didn't come without cost. She has faced the shame of being too emotional, the accusations of being dramatic. She has had lovers mock her depth, friends minimize her pain. She has been told to toughen up, to move on, to get over it. But she refused. Not because she is stubborn, but because she knows that anything unhealed becomes inherited. She heals not just for herself, but for every woman who was silenced. Every girl who was told to smile instead of scream. Every mother who never got to rest. Every ancestor who bled so she could walk free. She is not just emotionally intelligent. She is emotionally revolutionary. And you, what feelings have you buried beneath pride, beneath roles, beneath survival? When was the last time you let yourself fully feel without needing to explain, justify, or shrink? This woman does not fear the depth of her inner oceans. She dives. She meets her monsters in the dark, touches the abyss, and rises dripping with truth. Her heartbreaks have been initiations. Her pain, a passage, and her healing is not linear, but cyclical, spiraling her deeper into authenticity each time. She lives close to the archetypes. The mother, the wild woman, the oracle, the lover, the warrior. Each emotion she feels awakens a new mask to drop, a new piece of herself to reclaim. She dances with grief, makes love to joy, walks hand in hand with anger. She is not ruled by them, but she honors them all like sacred guests. That is why she is magnetic. That is why her presence shifts a room. Not because she's loud, but because she's real. There is nothing more compelling than a woman who is no longer afraid to feel. She is not just intelligent. She is initiated. And she knows. Emotional mastery is not about control. It's about communion. In the end, the highly intelligent woman is not defined by habit alone, but by her way of being. She is not the product of happenstance or genetic inheritance. She is the product of inner war, sacred confrontation, and countless small deaths that made space for her becoming. She's been cracked open by disappointment, reshaped by loss, and stitched back together with threads of her own truth. She no longer chases, not love, not status, not certainty, because she has remembered what so many forget. Everything you chase implies it is running from you. She is done running. She lives now in presence, in deliberate stillness. Her decisions are rooted in self-respect, not self-doubt. When she says yes, it's because it aligns, not because she fears losing someone. When she says no, it's not to punish, it's to protect. She does not make herself small so others can feel large. She rises, and invites others to rise with her. And perhaps the most astonishing thing, she no longer needs to be seen to feel seen. Her validation comes from her own gaze. The inner witness, the calm voice that whispers, "You are enough even now, especially now." She is loyal to that voice above all others. For years, she silenced it to fit in. Now she silences the world when it drowns it out. She does not try to inspire. She simply embodies, and that is what inspires. You may meet her and think, she's different. You won't be able to put your finger on it. But something about her presence unsettles the part of you that's still pretending. That's still performing. And if you are brave enough, you won't turn away. You'll listen. Because what she offers isn't comfort. It's permission to remember, to return, to rise. She is not the loudest in the room, but she is the one who cannot be ignored. She no longer tolerates half-love, half-truths, or half-presence. She is whole now, and she demands wholeness in return. This is not arrogance, it is reverence. She does not expect perfection, only presence, only participation in the sacred act of showing up, fully, honestly, without masks. She is not afraid to be alone, not because she doesn't crave connection, but because she knows she is already connected, to herself, to the divine, to every woman who has ever chosen her own soul over societal script. And you, are you willing to join her? Are you ready to stop asking, who will love me if I stop performing? And start asking, who am I when I finally stop pretending? Because that's where she began. In the ruins, in the wreckage of a self she outgrew. And she stayed. She didn't rush to rebuild. She sat among the ashes. And when the time was right, she didn't rise like a phoenix. Out of fire, she rose like a woman who had finally remembered her name. No more proving. No more pleasing. No more shape-shifting to fit into broken molds. She is not here to be consumed. She is here to create. She doesn't just read Seneca, she lives him. He who is brave is free. She knows this truth intimately. Her bravery is quiet, sacred, worn into her bones by every hard choice she made alone. And in that freedom, she has found peace. Not the peace of perfect conditions, but the peace of radical self-acceptance. And that is what truly makes her powerful. Not her mind, though it is sharp. Not her beauty, though it is undeniable. But her soul, unapologetically sovereign. She knows now. The woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, she chooses.